Well, we knew from the group stage of things that this was going to be an interesting competition, and day one of the playoffs definitely delivered. Some ups, some downs, twists and turns, with day two of VCT Ascension Americas ahead of us. Absolutely no idea what can happen. Welcome, everybody. My name's Sierra, and joining me on the desk, we have none other than Roy and Shift. I mean, Shift, you were there yesterday. Roy, I'm sure you watched as well, but yesterday, man, that was... I still cannot believe what I watched.
Madness! You watched madness. That's what happened. Absolute chaos. I will wrap up both of these series in small sentences. Number one, 2-game, prepared, M80, lazy. Number two, all nights, trust the comp, Gallerus, trust your mental. Big comeback from all nights, huge stuff.
Wow.
Coming out hot.
Wow. I mean, okay, those were some big words. I'm intrigued to see the feedback about that one. But I mean, when you're talking about the results of the match and pulling up this bracket, they are pretty stark results here. I mean, looking at this upper finals as well as this lower bracket, Roy, going into this, I think a lot of predictions, a lot of expectations already have been shattered, not even from what we've gotten to see from these teams through the season, but even the performance from the group play all of a sudden seeming to not mean anything.
Yeah, I mean, throughout the entire tournament from start to finish, start till now, we've been talking about how tight the competition has been. We've seen players say that. We've been saying that. And I think that is now finally the case where we can truly say that there is no more overdog, underdog. Throw that out the window, guys. Those words mean nothing anymore, okay? But now we're going into this matchups, right? We saw M80 get defeated. Finally, they've lost their streak. 2G's on a pretty nice warm 2-0 off M80. They're feeling confident. They're coming into this matchup. AK, the mental resilience, by the way. Shift, your TLDR was amazing. I thought it was great, by the way. But he's right, though. All Night's mental resilience, their ability to stay locked in has been unreal in that last matchup.
I mean, that was, I think, one of the biggest shockers. Actually, no, I think what's crazy is that's like the second most shocking thing on the day, considering M80 lower bracket. Crazy stuff. And when we're looking at how we predicted things across on the desk, all of us yesterday got it wrong on that first series. I know across the board, we had predicted M80 in this upper finals as a clean sweep, and we were all wrong. But pulling up then the predictions from today and how we all voted, this one I think will be quite interesting, because I know for myself, based off of what we saw yesterday, it was tough to put M80 as the prediction, but I still have that hope and that belief there, Shift, that what we got to see from that group stage, we can see that resurgence. And I love the split that we have here for this match one.
Yeah, I think, me and Roy are we're vibing today, brother. I mean, what are we talking about? These guys are handsome and talented. Unbelievable. No, I think the thing for me in terms of these first two matches, the only two matches on the day, 2-game out masterclass the playbook of M80. They did their prep, they did their homework, they came out with the perfect counter strategy. I expect the same thing will happen today versus All Knights, who rely on a bit of a weirder set of compositions. The flip side for M80, I think yesterday was a wake-up call. I don't think that they were as prepared as they should have been versus 2-game. I don't think they'll get caught sleeping here today against a pretty strong Gallerus team. I've got that one going 3, but I got M80 winning it.
It'll be interesting to see the turnaround, and even just on this upper finals and that preparation, how that's going to be going into today, because I mean, today they definitely impressed on that magnitude. But AK, I mean, how do you prepare against a team that has the mentals, the strength of, I don't know, just every busted Valorant player together? Like, what they were able to pull off was amazing. But before we dive too much into today's series, of course, we do have little interview clips from each to get us hyped ahead of today's match.
Yo creo que fue un poco de la calma, porque yo siento que estábamos muy, no sé si nerviosos, pero muy ansiosos por disparar. Y se notó mucho a la hora del cambio de lado cuando ganamos la tercera. Yo noté un cambio muy significativo, tanto en el mental como en el nerviosismo, cómo disparamos y en las calls dentro de todo. Y yo creo que eso nos ayudó mucho, mantener la calma más que nada. La verdad que yo creo que son dentro de todos los mejores del torneo, junto a nosotros y M80 obviamente. Pero yo creo que su mayor fuerte es lo unidos que son. Por eso literalmente son como una familia, van siempre juntos, están siempre tirándose para arriba, son muy compañeros. Y lo que yo creo que nos diferencia, tanto grupal como individual, es el tema de la toma de decisiones. Siento que podemos ser más fuertes que ellos en ese sentido. Y nada, que estemos tranquilos, que juguemos lo nuestro como siempre hacemos. y que busquemos esa clasificación que hace mucho lo estamos intentando.
Talking about that calmness and all of that stuff, I mean, you can say the calmness, but I feel like we got to see a lot of chaos in the best sort of way in the server for both of these teams yesterday, which makes me really excited to dive into today's matchup. And let's talk about this 2G team first, because 2G going into this, I was worried when I saw this rematch going up against M80, especially considering some other interview clips. They're like, yeah, we don't really feel like we need to change stuff and, you know, kind of trust it. We run out of ideas. But then that is not at all reflective of what we saw yesterday, Shift.
Correct. And it came in a multitude of fashions. The first and foremost, just to recap it, they came out with a great game plan. Second of all, Spike and Silence were unstoppable. That was something that was missing at the tail end of the group stage. Spike in particular on the Neon, when he plays it, often is the first one forward, and often it's done in a way that does not have a ton of overall support besides, I'm just going to high gear slide this corner and hope I win my one. Yesterday versus this really strong M80 squad, they broke them down and then used Spike as a person who could just completely get deep in towards side on the offense or stop M80 from either setting up a retake. Same thing can be said for Silence. He played a great Cypher game in map number 1, but when he started to get onto Jet with an operator in map 2 on Icebox, he was untouchable. So great stuff out of both those two highlighted players from 2Game.
Yeah, it's very rare that we see a team have such synergy with two separate duelists. Like, we've seen it before in VCT teams, but never to this level, never to this fluidity. I mean, the synergy with 2G and Silence as a duelist and Spike as a duelist, it really feels no different. They're able to maintain this consistent style and this sort of opening prep that Shift was talking about that worked extremely well versus M80, and we expect to see the same thing happening in this matchup as well.
Yeah, Spike was someone on that first map that I really wanted to see a call out on and absolutely rose up to the occasion on Sunset on that Neon. But I want to talk about Silence and specifically this map 2 on Icebox. You're talking about that preparation against M80 and looking back at that match. It was a preparation as well as just a sheer confidence here, Shift. I mean, they knew exactly how to beat these angles. They didn't let M80 take any space, and the confidence just carried.
Well, and here's the other thing about them not allowing M80 to take any space. This is an M80 comp that is playing with no duelist. Their whole effort is about controlling space through just sheer overwhelming force of abilities. But the thing that was really impressive about 2G was not just their ability to adjust how Spike was playing the Neon, but like you had talked about, Silence was going bananas, not allowing M80 to get any utility into the site because their ability to get deep in towards Snowman, to get up towards Rafters on over towards the other side was really, really clean and really, really convincing. This is an M80 team that has largely throughout this group stage relied on playing retake from the defense. When you get in their face and you stave off one point of ingress to where they have to funnel through a choke point, they don't find success. And 2Game really isolated that yesterday thanks to their duelists.
It's a confidence that'll take them far. It has been taking them far, of course, being here in the upper finals. But now, when you look at All Knights on the other end of things, when I think of this team and from this playoff run, the whole thing that I think about this team is the confidence. There's quite a few members across the board here, Roy, that have that, but there's a couple to really focus in on too. Yeah,
I mean, the couple, I think we all know who we're talking about right here. We're talking about Dante and we're talking about Sabanda, the two players that we've been highlighting throughout the entire tournament. At certain times, Sabanda wasn't really having the sort of pop-off that we expected from him. But I think towards the playoffs and towards the end of the group stages, he was one of the players that has been very outstanding. And he's sort of been the missing piece that I think All Night has needed to be that top-tier level team that we've been expecting them to be in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, when you're talking about this confidence of Ante to push first, but then the whole team being able to back it up, I think it's been really impressive. And Sabando had a really great performance yesterday in one of the craziest comeback Shift. I mean, looking back at this match yesterday, it was 4-12 at one point in the other team's favor. We were talking about this map 3. We were looking all ahead at that, and All Night, they had other plans.
Yeah, it was a 9-3 half. It was an 11-3 start, and then you said a 12-4 going into the back half of Bind. And again, the composure and the trust that this team has off of their ability to trust their composition when they get to their stronger side is crazy. I mean, they put together a long stretch of rounds here on Bind, all of it on the offensive side, save the pistol and the anti-eco. After that, there was no stopping them. Most of that came from the side of the fact that, yes, you did have Sabando opening up great space, but Dante played lights out on the Rays from the attacking side, 18-7 in that back half. So when you put together a great controller who had a great individual series yesterday, and then you find Dante, who may have not had the best impact when it comes to how the Neon formed on Haven, but then turned up immediately when they needed him to on the Rays on Bind, that's a duality setup that you can look at and say, doesn't matter what the score is, you can put them up 12-0, we'll still find a way to trust our setup, trust our comps, and get this thing back to overtime.
I mean, yeah, when I look at All Knights on the attacking end of Bind, it was a glorious that it was the constant util to push them back and not allowing Dante any space, and a lot of respect for this absolutely cracked duelist. And then Dante started finding those cracks and started, like, the aggression and the way he was able to take space, completely opening up the window for All Knights to be stringing together all of these rounds and make this comeback that, frankly, we did not expect coming out from this team. And I think, too, with those two very, like, those two play styles going into it and how it was highlighted in yesterday's matches, Roy, this should be a really interesting matchup.
Absolutely. And whenever we talk about experience, specifically when it comes to mental resilience and all these things, like whenever we say, oh, you have an experienced player on the team, that is exactly what we are referencing. The ability to stay locked in, to never give up. And I have this like weird nerdy theory that like there is a point, right, where like the pressure boils up and it boils up and it boils up and it keeps building, right? And there's a point where these teams either rise to the occasion and kind of level up immediately and become a completely different monster, or they completely crumble. And it seems like All Knights is the type of team that is going to rise to the occasion. They're not going to crumble under the pressure. Even in the most highest pressure match they've had so far in this tournament, they've been able to perform. They've been able to stay locked in.
I mean, even looking back at the past match these two had when in groups, because everyone got to play, everyone, of course, wanted to highlight that a little bit, because you're talking about them being able to rise up to the occasion when it really, really matters. And even during this group stage, they were able to rise to the occasion up against 2Game Esports here, Chef. There is that loss on Sunset, but then being able to bring it back the next two.
Yeah, and I think the player that I want to highlight here is actually going to be Adverso.
Yes.
He popped off in that series, and that was the first time that we'd really seen this Bind deadlock composition, because the same thing happened. It was another 9-3 half when they were playing the deadlock on defense. It didn't work at all. And then all of a sudden, you only drop one round on your offensive side, and that was an anti-eco bonus after they'd already won the pistol. And it was one of those situations you look at and say, how do they just do that? Because the first part of the series on Sunset and Abyss, both maps are over in like 25 minutes, even though they went long, because both teams are just running at each other. Now, that was a while ago, and I think both teams have become a bit more measured in their decision making, not just saying, let's hold W, let's hope we click better. That's oversimplifying it, but in essence, when you've got Neon versus Neon in a lot of these maps, that's what it feels like. Both of these two teams have grown a lot, especially in the back half of the group stage when they needed to clutch up, win their matches to even see playoffs in the first point. And then to go up against what we consider to be the favorites in the matchups yesterday, to find ways to win for both those two teams in 2-0 form, chef's kiss. Very impressive.
I mean, you're talking about, you know, the duelist maybe not just pressing W key anymore, but I think of Dante and I just think of, you know what, if he's not getting the first kill, he's dying first, but he's always taking that space. He's always pressing W, and I think it's just been working out so great with the fact that All Knights do have quite a few shooters to be able to capitalize off of it. But I think how stronghold 2G is, especially when you are looking at the two duelists that they have here, Roy, has been really good and a little bit more controlled throughout what we got in these groups.
Yeah, I'd like to remind us that Dante is born in June of 2007. He's turning 18 next year. That's a fun fact for all of us to just dwell on for 2 seconds. I know, I'm so sorry I have to do that to you guys, but he's 17 and he has the confidence of a vet. It makes no sense. Someone make it make sense. He's flashy. He's confident. The structure of the team is very well set up for him. Everything just seems, whenever it's clicking, whenever Dante's kind of, their sort of system, their structure is functioning, it's a very well-oiled machine, and they are beasts.
Yeah, I think the thing too is when one of those two players are popping off and they can just sit there and say, let me just heat check, and it keeps working, your entire game plan just goes down to the simplified basics of let's just keep running at him. This is working. I think the thing that I was really impressed about when both these two teams had played before was that on Sunset in particular, we did see 2G making great split second mid-round adaptations to deal with the forward pressure that All Knights continue to throw at them. So if that ends up being the case, if we do see Dante trying to run through this 2-game squad, I would love to see 2-game come out prepared and say, we know how to beat that. Let it happen, counteract, find good retake positions, or find a way to flip the map, and then we can hit with aggression of our own a little bit later in the round when we still have more utility to play off of. I think their ability usage has really come a long way, and that's one of the difference makers in what I'm looking for in this particular matchup here today.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, because I think on some of the maps they're very stylistically similar teams. They have they both have very good support players that are able to support these duelists, set them up for early fights, and I think that their strength, which has been their early aggression, has worked for both of these teams, and they both have that strength coming into this matchup. So it's going to be very fun matchup.
100%. I mean, we're talking about Dante, but I think Spike and Silence are the perfect two to be able to stop in the tracks. But going into our map picks and bans, Haven, Icebox gone. Yeah, AK saw what 2G was able to accomplish on Icebox. Shift, I'm not surprised about that one being banned out whatsoever, but a miss for the first map of choice is kind of spicy.
Run back. Here for it. Adverso was a monster on this map. Again, a lot of it was quick action. Dante likely to play the Jet, Adverso to follow up with the Sova, but his presence through mid was undeniable. Ended up finishing the map 26-10. Lotus as a second is peculiar. This is new in terms of their individual matchup. Plus, neither one of these teams have really gotten a lot of reps at it here this weekend.
Yeah, I'd like to remind us that All Knights has actually not shown their Lotus. So if you're 2G, I feel like you're kind of left scratching your head a little bit, right? Because this is a bit of
it, though.
I'm sorry?
2G picked it.
No,
2G picked Abyss.
Wait, why am I seeing 2G picks Lotus on the graphic?
Because that's the side. That's the side.
Yeah.
They got to keep you on your toes. It's AK that's picking Lotus. I actually like the fact that they're picking it, though, something that we haven't seen from them. Because we saw how much information 2G had on M80. We saw how they were able to play up against them. So, I mean, Roy, this is all of a sudden a map that, well, they can't really counter what they don't know.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That 2G has to be scratching their heads right here, because they really don't know what to expect on this map. And the fact that they've been able to hide a map up until this point is actually a very huge buff, because now there's really no prep. There's nothing you can do. And if All Knights has a very well constructed game plan that is like off the the paved path, if you will, it's going to be very hard to problem solve for him in the mid game.
I need to check my eyes. Sorry.
You need new glasses. No, it's cosmetic.
I double check it every single time. Absolutely. Do not. I think that's caught everyone off guard at least once. But I'm really hoping, really fingers crossed, please, Valorant gods, we get to see Sunset again. Because I think being able to see the Neon v Neon is the coolest and the most awesome thing. It could be. Roy, it could be everything.
Yeah, I love that. I think Abyss is going to be a little bit more of the op battles between the Jets, right? Yes, Lotus, again, I really have no idea what to expect on Lotus. I mean, obviously, we have not seen All Knights play it, but last time 2G had a showing on it, it was a pretty solid showing by them. I really do. I'm with you, Sierra. I think if we do see a third map, I think it's going to be one of the most insane matches we've seen in this tournament so far.
Yeah, and the other side of it is kind of quickly looking over the results. All Knights did play this map a ton in their region, and they did finish off by playing the exact same composition that we saw 2G play versus M80. So we could, again, see a couple of maps of double on Neon. So get your sunglasses ready for all the fast lanes and high drives and over drives and other drives that we're going to see in that matchup.
The real glasses or the cosmetic ones?
No, the cosmetic ones, yeah. The ones that block you from blue light. Yeah, those are the ones.
I mean, during the season, everyone's so electric. No blinking for even a second. No looking away. There's going to be a lot of fast-paced action for you. Make sure as well to be getting your predictions in the chat. Who is going to be winning? Get your try codes in. You have to see our predictions, but make sure to get yours in as well.
50-50?
I love it, dude. Give me the drama.
That's insane, no?
It's way insane. This is probably one of the first matches we've had that have stayed within like 5 points of each other.
Well, time to get ready for the match and head on in.
yo creo que son dentro de todos los mejores del torneo, junto a nosotros y el 80 obviamente. Es el tema de la toma de decisiones. Siento que podemos ser más fuertes que ellos en ese sentido.
¡Le pegó! ¡Grítalo, Monterrey! Porque aquí está el Knights. ¡Quiere cerrar la partida!
Se va a abrir Semana también con la shot que la tiene. ¡Y donde veo por cerrar el mapa! ¡Que esta es la remontada!
É só a gente manter o que a gente está fazendo, a gente faz um trabalho muito bom, um estático muito bom e a gente está preparado para esse campeonato.
Todas ahí. ¡Qué onda! ¡Vamos a la segunda! ¡Va a entrar!
Utilidad de hecho le saca la acechadora, no lo ven y nunca lo ven. Bueno,
¡Sí, Capitán América! ¿Para qué responde? Se junta Silence, es buena decisión. Es un 3 para 3, rodante a rodar, mi amor. No quiere correr. ¡Está al lado tuyo! ¡Despedimos! Algo sabe. ¡Oh, no! Se escondió en el tiro, en la doble, solito. Responde por medio, pero mismo.
sobre todo Durango, que no sabe muy bien qué calear ahora mismo, pero ahora sí se ven las posibilidades para un ángulo y para Carlos. Todo está escondido y es un ángulo extremadamente bueno, es un ángulo ganador. Ay, puede ser para el primero, el segundo también. 4 bajas para Tato.
Médico, porque aquí están castigando por
que chegam embrasados, recebam Chu Game!
The team with the biggest upset of the tournament so far, now in the upper final, shift one best of 3 away of landing themselves in the grands. 2
major power players on the table, but the one that's going to be the loudest is the Zap Attack. See how he gets boisterous with the fans ready to go for 2-game esports in the venue.
It's going to be electrifying for sure. They have showed up throughout. But now for the other team.
El poder de la resiliencia y con sangre, sudor y lágrimas mantienen viva la llama de toda una región, el sueño de toda una región. Señores y señoras, Monterrey, denle la bienvenida a los caballeros, denle la bienvenida a All Night.
All Night. One of the teams going into this, you knew of the flashy players, you knew of the flashy plays, and Roy, how they have showed up. The biggest comeback yesterday. The mentals are strong. What can't this team do?
No, I love it. You have to really appreciate this team because they wear their emotions on their sleeve. They're not afraid of the highs and lows of the game. They're willing to ride the ebb and flow, and I cannot wait for this matchup.
It's gonna be so good. Also, love a good walkout. The calling, especially for the All Nights one, goosebumps. But I think really just reminiscence of what is to come here, Shift. I mean, these teams have been nothing short of explosive. Heading into the groups, we've gotten to see that across the board. We've talked so much about the duelists, but everyone from both sides able to step up at any opportunity always keeps you on your toes.
It's a day-to-day game. And as we look at Abyss, this is what we figured would happen. I would assume that all 3 of these maps, if we see all 3, are just going to be mere matchup on mere matchup on mere matchup. And whenever I see that, I like to boil the analysis down to its smallest little elementary level, which means whoever plays better wins. This is my John Madden commentary. You score more points, you win the game. Can't wait to see it.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty good analysis right there. Roy, anything else to add to that masterclass?
Absolutely. I mean, I think Shifted might be the best in the world at what he does. I think he nailed it on his head. It's literally just going to be a team diff from here.
I mean, this is going to be so exciting. Last time we got to see Abyss, I mean, Silence was lights out on this jet, but Dante has been nothing short of phenomenal throughout this shift, and we've highlighted them both so much and the supportive cast. This is where Adversal last time also just popped off.
Yeah, and keep in mind another point about this composition. as much as 2Game are going to look to get Silence on op as fast as humanly possible, let Silence do whatever the heck he wants. On the other side, Dante is going to wait for information, and it really comes down to, can Adverso be everywhere? He was that way yesterday on Haven. I've never seen so many mind games be pulled by a single owl drone in my life. If he can do that again today, it would be a day where all Knights could come out and find themselves in the grand final.
Well, this is it. It's time to head over to Abyss. First map in the series to get off on the right foot here in the upper finals. 2G, All Knights, and Masterclass casters. Vansili, Lemon Kiwi, over to you.
Thank you so much, Sierra. Yes, Brazil versus LATAM, 2G All Knights in our upper final after an exciting day of matches yesterday. And I'm just as excited to get into this. But Vansili, Abyss pick again by 2G.
A very good one, actually. I'd be down for the pick for 2G against All Knights so far because, yes, we've been talking about how good Dante's been throughout this whole tournament, but although on his Jet hasn't been shining as much as he has on roles like Raze or roles like Neon overall. So I think this is a great opportunity for 2G rather to kick things off on the right foot and try to keep that game into close contention. We saw the votes and it was 50-50 throughout everybody that's watching so far. I think definitely this may be the closest series that we're about to witness in the Ascension tournament. And the crazy part is, Lemon Kiwi, these two teams, the winner goes into the grand finals, but these two teams were number 2 seeds in their own region.
We're getting also a look at the coaches, really getting their players prepped for 2G. It's Fatesor with assistant coach Yoshi, and All Knights have Zonic with analyst Bast with them. And very interesting that 2G picked this despite losing 13-7 to All Knights last time. But if there's one thing I know about these two regions is that they're passionate, but they also truly believe that they can bounce back no matter what. And I mean, 2G showed us yesterday after being beaten down by M80, they had the last laugh and they were the ones who knocked M80 down.
Shutting them down. We're going to keep things off rather with All Knights on the attack. Early recon dart down towards the middle so that Dante can take control of this mid. So default play that we're currently seeing from All Knights, they're trying to see if they can get a pick, maybe even break this door so they can go for a late split towards the A side, where you're still prodding so far as Zap just got literally zapped down to 65 by that shock.
Adverso versus Zap is going to be a really fun Sova matchup of Zap being the IGL and the most experienced players on the 2G side. Adverso so intelligent. I kind of had to call a PC check on him yesterday of just how he's able to predict where his opponents are through the smoke without vision. So just pressuring Zap back with the shock bolt, making it so well now 2G don't have vision of mid, and All Knights have killed all sound. They keep their lurk on the left and they head towards the right.
And this is good because this opens things up for Tinchoff later on. Because of the shock darts from Zap, he's fallen all the way back, so you're playing for 2G very passively at this point. You have to rely on your initiators. Now with the knife out, sees nothing, so the hit comes towards the A site.
Oh, but the paranoia from 2G was hoping to slow down this push. And is Dante off to a great start. First blood, opening up the site, smoke at the back. 2G will rally the forces. You already see Zap taking an off angle, cutting through, waiting for the flash from Spike, but Zap got hit, and the tempo's a bit off from 2G. They have been setting themselves up for success from the beginning, and they'll take pistol.
You nailed it right there, Lemon Kiwi. A little bit off tempo on how you wanted to retake that site for 2G. You mentioned that Spike had that flash. You needed that control on the top of Heaven. So far, when you're playing turtled and reactively, you could give up the site and play on the outside, but it's important, your step one, to not allow your opponents to really push further than security room or the Heaven on the A side. But we overpeaked. We lost our battles. There was 3 guys already facing him at that point. So you lose your position. You also lose map control because, again, remember, Tinchoff had such a late lurk going in towards the mid-take. He was going to be the final winning condition should all of 2G not, or All Knights getting dropped here over on the 8 site on the post plant. But overall, it's just a duels. You know this is going to be a brawly matchup between these two teams. And we definitely see it right there as soon as we came into the execution.
Going to be a lot of weight on Dante's shoulders to
or a lot
really
of weight in
show
general.
up. Yeah, just it's a lot. This is This is still the upper finals, so, you know, you have that second life. But we saw yesterday that 2G, you know, they put so many eggs in the Dante basket. You know, his back must hurt. But then after a timeout, after things didn't start really 2G's way yesterday, they had a timeout, they talked about it, and became so much less reliant on Dante. They really kind of spread out the responsibility, and it became a united effort. And that's how 2G were able to come back against M80.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you're also meaning Dante, for example, for All Nights.
Oh, yeah, All Nights. So 2G for
exactly.
Spike,
but overall, I think it still goes back to what you were mentioning before of how good these teams are with bouncing back. So let's talk about those a bit while we have this technical pause. So to lean back to what you were saying in terms of 2G and M80, that revenge match, and that 2G looked amazing against M80. They looked much more different on how they played that map and how they approached that map on Sunset as well against M80. There was a lot of like fake mid control, a lot more slower pacing, which forced the hand of M80, and then they really worked the map in their favor. And so that's a little bit of studying, a little bit of learning that they've done. And you're hoping at this point here that 2G lost against All Nights, the last time they faced off against each other here on Abyss. They've learned something this time around on their eco as they're trying to find some moves here, but it's Dante just waiting towards the spawn to get the first blood.
And 2G already worked for map control. They've heavy pushed up the A side and left their mid completely open. That's an adaptation from Zap to help support the perimeter of the map. And it's not like AK have really tried to do much. They do have sights on mid thanks to that camera of Tinshoff, but it is a first blood in favor of AK yet again, of course, with the better weaponry. Great job with the outlaw from Dante, taking advantage of these long sight lines. Now the drone being pushed up A. You're not really sure what to do with that.
Just trying to get some ward control, trying to get silence up as soon as possible with an orb, but unfortunately here, as they're just trying to walk down and hopefully catch somebody off guard and rely on that aim, and didn't pan out in their favor. So All Nights just looking to have a clean execution. You already see here LZ Luis banged out. All Nights are just going to smother this site with the weaponry that they currently have, a huge and clear advantage. It's only going to be Spike left on a rotate, so a clean plant overall. All Nights, if they can convert this to only have Tinshoff falling, this will also help in the long run for All Nights in terms of the weaponry that they bring, because the Outlaw and also the Bulldogs could still do a lot here against 2G. I do like at least, though, here, Lemon Kiwi, that in this eco that you have from 2G, they're all at 1900 across the board, so only maybe a bit of utility purchased by Spike, but overall you're making sure that you are buying full armor within the next round, because you know that, you know, Dante or somebody else is going to bring an Outlaw out, and they're not afraid to fight with that, so you want to make sure you bring those chances in your favor in your gun round.
You see Spike obviously going for the retake, which is the classic, but hoping to die to Spike or well, getting exit frags, but did not catch them on the exit. It's AK taking the second round. And again, another first blood in their favor. You know, the weaponry helps with that, and it's hard to stack with pistols on a map as large as this. 2G really gambled on the forward defense at A, didn't get anything, and AK, despite, you know, having that huge weaponry advantage, still committed the drone. They don't want to go in blind, and they still executed well.
It is definitely a very difficult map to rotate across here on the map like Abyss, which is why a Sentinel is usually key to have in your composition too, because you're turtling up a lot on the extremities, and then if you're losing a little bit of that mid control against your opponents, it's so hard to rotate back, so most of the players will go through the spawn if not flanking, right? But we'll see how that's going to evolve as we move forward here in this matchup. Weaponry out now for 2G, full rifles, and you see here all full shields. Just a little bit less utility in their hands now for Zappas, for example, he doesn't have these shots.
It's a chance for 2G to respond. Smoking, making AK nervous on their side. Cypher util at A. Good division from 2G to cover all of their bases. It is now time for AK to make a move. Where will they set their pieces? Where will the pawns advance? And what map control does AK really want to fight for? Now, they're setting their sights on mid. This is something they haven't tried, and they're pushing all four there. And Luis is going to spot this. Already brought down to below half health. Will be teleporting, is now getting pressured by Sabrando on the chase. Now support from Zap at the back. As 2G turn around, they've given up mid. They know that AK can wrap around them. And with that mid control, you got 2G really pincered on their sides of the map.
Actually, it's really good from 2G to react proactively here to push towards B. So they have clear vision that the hit's going to be towards the A side. They're going to be able to double flank, maybe break their trip and catch some players off guard. But here's the hit from All Knights towards this A site.
Wrapping around, 2G not wanting to let this plant go through. AK, what kind of momentum can they build? It's Sepondo with 2 and almost turned on the 3rd. 2 versus 1 with Nico. Someone behind, at the front. It's a pain sandwich. Luis not making an immediate move. Seconds remain, and AK will have no time to plant, and it still goes the way of 2G.
And how good is that there from Luis to stay alive on the top middle? And because he stayed alive, he was able to get a 3K in the A site to anchor it up and give the round there for 2G. So again, I love the pivot that we had. You saw all those pings that happened on the attack side where it seems as though there is some sort of read here from All Knights to really try to crush this type of solo hold that's being played here from the 2G side on the defensive side. Remember, it was Zap in the pistol round. This time it was Luis alone. But I love that they switched it around proactively for 2G as well, because now you see Luis is TPing away. It's not going to be a player that's going to be stuck out in the open through all the utility that comes through. But the tempo changes now for All Knights. They're looking for a 3-player hit towards the main side of B.
Finally testing out the waters of B, like you said, and Silence has been good, but will not stand. That's a free duelist for Dante, already posing on the left, just really focusing on the long-range contact plays. As AK, know there's players on the site, but can they really just draw out 2G and take that duel? And in AK's mind, ideally lose it. But AK are just going to give this one up as they know 2G are hiding. They don't know if AK are approaching B or not.
Yeah.
AK will pivot.
Well, this is also the insert of Nico Mushi at the beginning of the A orb. He hasn't seen anybody push forward. He hears maybe a camera being tapped up here and there, so there's going to be a little bit more of a passive hold from the A site when you realized here that they were fighting against 3 players towards B when he took down Silence. So I love this read, but picking up this orb gives their position away, but it also allows your adversary to get the Hunter's Fury, so they have at least a final point to play the pulse plant. While it looks like for 2G, they're going to give this up and play the retake after all. Beautiful.
And then like Pricey is, able to reveal just how many members. You already heard the jet dash. You know the hit is there. How do 2G even want to retaliate? They don't. They want to save their weapons because, economy is everything, and they don't have a lot going.
Yeah. One is the economy, and secondly, you see it now, the preemptive knife down towards Long B in case people are still lurking around. So as they lost Silence in the beginning, and you only have one player holding towards the A site, well, all your question marks around the map or towards middle, and after they hit the site for All Knights, where could they be after when they lost Pricey? So you've lost so much map control there for 2G to really understand or have a feel of where you can rotate from. And as we mentioned, it's such a hard map to rotate across because not only is it difficult, but it's also very long to path forward. So if you have to start walking to clear back, you've already lost pretty much half time of the spike before you're able to make it into the site to try to play the retake. So no choice there. Still great defaulting being played by All Knights within these starts, within the start of these rounds, rather.
And All Knights are doing great damage. You're getting a lot of kills, so they're coming up to some pretty important ultimates. And I already know Null Command is one away. All Knights, I think they're figuring out that just flooding the site from front to back and just overwhelming whatever defender is there, if it's a solo sentinel or maybe 2 or 3, instead of All Knights getting kind of overthinking it. Because the one round that All Knights lost was when they kind of explored mid and didn't really know how to pincer 2G's defense without the information. So All Knights get the orb. Now they have 3 ults. Null Command, Hunter's Fury from the shadows. And they got vision on mid, so All Knights, it's their move.
Yeah, the knife even spotted Zap, and it's a good enough radius for them to know that they were playing towards the right side here on the A side. So looking for some 1-minute clearing, maybe with the Zap utility. So they actually just keep Tinchoff there just to see if at that minute mark he's going to hear the Allerdrone. That might force then after the push forward. There you go. It came out at 107. He breaks it right away. Look at now AK starting to move out here and looking to move together towards his B site. Null Command to activate to kick things off.
Headshot.
They start the exchange. Great first pick by Silence. Now he's suppressed and he's being found. Hunter's Fury to hose down the site. And AK, they trade blow for blow and they come out on top. And even Sepondo used his teleport to get all the way to the back to really pressure that back line. And 2G had nothing to say about it. So the plant will go through, and then 2G kind of stagger in and out. And they save those weapons for this round. They really have a fighting chance, and now it's a 2 versus 4, and they don't seem really eager to get to the B site anytime soon. We'll see what Prizey can do to do damage with just a pistol, and not much.
The damage to the camera. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if not for a Spike, he's going to save his weapon. It kicked things off quite well, though, at least for 2G on the defensive side. It was a beautiful 88 shot from Silence, and I was kind of questioning, actually, when Nico Machine pulled out his null command, that Dante is still the first one that's going to peek out instead of having the null command come out and maybe just bait that first shot in case, you know, that happened. But it's Dante that dies. At least they got the trade-off. I like the Sabato TP back towards the spawn, too, while you're basically smothering all the audio with the Hunter's Fury, so nobody really pays attention to the Heaven, and it becomes a really nice pinch towards the end for All Knights. But I think they're doing a great job, All Knights, not only from defaulting so far here around the map, but it's also a great job that they're currently displaying by keeping the economy low here, where Spike cannot activate that quickly with an operator. And you're probably going to start seeing here within the next 2 or 3 rounds, finally, when we're going to have that money that's going to be enough there for Silence to get the op, where he's really good with. We've seen his display of what he can do on Icebox against M80 with that op. But look at that econ after. I mean, look, they're somewhat half buying around the single Phantom that was saved from Spike, and he's at 700 credits. He's not going to bring it up in the next round if they lose this one here.
Yeah, 2G are really starting to suffocate, and the last time these two teams met, it was a pretty even first half for All Knights offense, and it's an exchange in mid. Both teams stacking on the side. Spike now getting involved for the defense, and Silence showing up with the 2K. And is this going to be for 2J to just keep wanting to push through mid, or do they want to keep scrapping this? AK keep challenging, and it's all up to Sabando in a 1v3 with a, I guess, potential Thrifty or 2G on the line.
Yeah, at least he still has full kit, 45 seconds, can pick up the Spike, and we know that Zimbato can get things done. And as I respected, after all, on the buy that Silence has, because if he died this round with everybody else of 2G, he was going to have the Bladestorm within the next round anyways with his armor. So he's trying to keep some sort of fighting chance here with the econ on the side of 2G. But it ends up being the Guardian that peeks up for the 2 kills, and now Zimbato is about to get spotted here by Luis.
Cover going out.
Damage at least Sabando can do. 2G not letting this turn too much into an avalanche.
Wow.
Silence with the 3rd through the smoke. And this is important. They got to recover a lot of rifles from this too, and they kind of need to salvage this economy a bit.
It's a great way to bounce back, because that Thrifty or whatever force buy or half buy that they had around that Phantom, they had a Guardian of Phantom and a couple of Sheriffs, and it just focused down towards that middle, and winning that, salvaging 3 weapons on top of that, and the 3,000 credits for every single player from winning that round. That, I think, might be the turning point now for 2G to be able to get that op out on the defensive side quite soon, and it's right now. Dante's doing the same too.
Yeah, heavy lean towards B for the offense, and a switch. Silence usually holds it down, these long sidelines at B. He's going to help support A. And just the Cypher cams left in mid. And this is something that boiled down to a lot of duels in favor of 2G in the last round, thanks to those Guardians that you pointed out. Now AK with just any kind of vision. If they AK have been pretty confident in their mechanics to pull out a lot of first bloods. Silence, he popped off, so he was able to afford an op, and now he has to run away from the drone.
But it didn't clear. It actually did not clear Luis in the corner. And the Owl drone was about to turn it, it missed. So there's an opportunity there for them to still crossfire into the A main. But mid control is out in the open for All Knights as soon as the prodding happened here for Timchop. Breaking the camera, it's opened up, and they'll split into B instead. What a pivot coming in once again from All Knights.
Tricks to worry about if you're All Knights trying to get into B, but it's just about the shot. Spikes with 2. Dante responds with the trade. And AK have one last person to worry about. And AK have cleared that. It cost them some warm bodies, but they still got Spike in position. 2 versus 3 in favor of the defense, and Dante is not done here. The Spike goes down, and it was Dante taking the helm, but with the ult out from Silence, 2G want to save this up. They want to save this round, and it's Silence on top. Nico hears it, and it's too little too late. 2G take the round.
And you needed your star player, Dante, to really land that first shot. He misses that one on Spike moving forward, which causes him to lose a player inside window and a second one on top of that. And now that you're so focused on Spike's position, it allowed here Pricey to get another different spot to try to play the trades to delay long enough to allow this retake to happen. But I love at least a high risk, high reward that was played there from Dante's side. As soon as he picked up the rifle, ran through his teammate's molly to actually catch Zap off guard to get that pick and almost make it doable. But Silence has been on point since this Guardian round that he pulled out here on the defensive side. And now looking at 2G side, they're quite activated at this point already. 1 point away from tying up the game in the first map of the series.
I like that 2G are not trying to play it as hidden anymore. They're really challenging fire with fire. And as soon as AK even try to swing, they're really being pushed to their limits. AK trades, the Silence flies up, manages to keep the off before AK could re-swing.
1 HP.
Yeah, oh wow, yes, that's a good point. Zap picks up more. And 2G are really starting to take over the map, and it's just Adverso now hearing the orb get tapped. Silence 1, and Adverso would like to keep this gun.
Yeah, it seems like the tides have turned now, where it's a lot of saving happening on the attack side. But once again, you nailed it here, Lemon Kiwu, where 2G are not afraid to fight aggression with aggression. This time around, after prodding and realizing how the A side's being played quite often by All Knights, focusing on B side first for an easy orb in that case, and then they try to pivot back towards middle where they can work towards the A side and then try to go back for a pinch towards the end in the mid rounding. But this time around, because they've always just inserted one player towards the A side, 3 players are ready to push out from 2G. They went for the pendulum swing as soon as the recon dart came out there from Zap. And the rest was history. Spike was already down out in the open, and there's no chance here for Adverso to pick this up and save the round here for All Knights. And instantly here, we've tied up the game 4-4, where 2G are starting to realize this slower play style of All Knights could really be punished, not necessarily always in the middle, but the extremity here on the A side too.
And that was an important lesson that 2G learned when going up against M80, is that M80 gave them so much space, so much back control, but it's what 2G really did with it. How could they profit? How can they take advantage? And how can they pincer the opponent? And now that the 2G are really getting more confident, we're talking about them utilizing that space and really pushing up, it's catching AK a bit off guard. So now the ball is in AK's court of how they want to turn this around. How can they either match that aggression, or how do they slow it down and let 2G play in their hands?
Yeah, and the cool part too about this space that you were mentioning with M80 against 2G was not only where 2G was pressuring, let's say, towards middle of Sunset and M80 gives it up. Later on in the mid round, M80 would start trying to push down and triple flank and whatnot. And what does 2G do after? They realize that it's weak side on the other side of the Spike site. So they just flip the site over, push out towards the spawn, and fight against M80's weaker defense. So this is what we're currently seeing so far here, almost at that point here for 2G. It's not necessarily that they're flipping the map across on the defensive side against our opponents, but they are trying to push to where the weak side is, depending on how their opponents are currently defaulting. And now it seems as though for All Knights, they're starting to see that 2G are not afraid to fight on these extremities when they find this information. So will they change the tempo a little bit more, especially when you know someone like Dante could really activate the pacing for that team? Although, like I said, it's not going to be on a Neon, but he could still get it done on a jet dash to create that space for the team.
Just early pauses being called, coaches getting involved. It's a play style change. These are 2 teams that are friends outside of this game, and they meet in the upper final. They've scrimmed each other despite not playing in the same league. They know each other, their weaknesses, their strengths, and how to counter-strat them in the end. And All Knights already smoked off. No cameras in mid this time. The defense from 2G set up their sentinel on A, shifting from the B site from before. And All Knights, step by step, will advance through middle, and this will catch Louise. If he's not careful, he's gonna try and hold this angle, and Silence on the offside. Now AK try to isolate that duel by smoking off the left, and with now the knife from 2G, it is going to reveal the members from AK, and they're going to take a step back as a result.
This is a great starter from Dante. He showed the fingernails of the Jet, which forced out the off shot and a paranoia from Luis from the A side. Just because of the passive mid play that they've been doing for 2G, they thought that All Knights were going to play for the heavy mid control once again. But what does that mean now? They timed out the knife. They timed the knife that was being thrown towards A as well. What real kill do you have? There's an opportunity here to open things up and to really surprise Pricey in the back, who's currently holding it solo until finally Spike comes through.
And this trip is set up pretty high to specifically catch Dante, but that's the Verso's role and why they love going to Sova maps. He will support Dante's Neon or Jet to let him be loose. And now that Cypher util is out of the way, another trip has been placed. The camera will spot the entry. Now it's timing for 2G in 9 seconds to prevent the plan. AK are on duty, but 2G just hose them all down. They stand and deliver, and it's a Black Lives flawless for the defense.
Oh, what a disaster there for All Knights with they're trying to go into that site. And unfortunately there with a null command that was stopped by Spike, and then they realized, wait, there's only 14 seconds left. We just have to go in for the trade. And Adverso should have had that kill in the back of the site to open things up, but they did such a great job here on the defensive side of 2G to fight on our right side of the map with the Hunter Sphere to support them from middle. And the passive play, which looked like it was going to be an easy split here from All Knights towards the end, towards the A site, was met here by Hunter's Fury, which is why they were giving that middle up a little bit more here for 2G side. Let them walk into that trap. So all of All Knights here.
Heavy flood from All Knights.
Exactly, yeah, change.
No time wasted. Who cares about info? W, shoot, and it's Dante that leads the way for AK, dismantling silence and only leaving dust behind with the spike planted. Not much left, really no time to think if you're Pricey. It gets a 1v4. Just gonna try and repeat this, maybe with a delay, thinking you went the other way, but Dante with the ace to give All Knights some life again.
That's how you stop the momentum being built up by your opponents, by just having, again, that Star Duelist dictating the pace. But it almost looked like there was no real utility that was supporting him in the back. Yes, of course, there's going to be some flashes here and there, but the brunt of it was all Dante moving around that side to get all of these picks. I think Spike there, getting the brute force of it, becomes patient zero here at that A site, at the B site rather, and Dante is giving a chance here for All Knights to keep this game close before 2G can really start running away with this, as they are the ones dictating the pace really so far in this defensive side since they had their money rights, since this thrifty round that they played.
AK have been using Tinshoff especially to throw these cages mid and either use their cameras too. Sight, vision denial, info denial. But what does All Knights do? Completely shifting from just jumping into the B site, winning the round within a second, to slowing this all the way back down. Really throwing 2G for a loop. Now All Knights with no vision, not seeing anyone through mid, will try to explore it. Silence holds down B, gets rid of the lurk from Sabando. The AK pinch will still go through, they wrap around, and Luis was ready, picks up two. The Hunter's Fury will calm him down. And AK have a chance to still get the B site control. Here comes Adverso with the plant, 2G on the retake.
I don't know if it was a selfless play or not, but it was really questionable on Sabano trying to TP across danger. But Nico's keeping it alive here for the team.
Yeah, and now time on AK's side. Neural step used by Pricey, and it's Adverso on the site. Was really relying on his teammate, his duo, to push out and do damage. Adverso, he has the element of surprise. He already heard the spike getting tapped. He almost got Pricey, he needed to hit that shot. He chokes, and 2G defuse to take the lead.
That's what it is. He needed to land that shot to give himself a chance on the 1v1 because he knew here that 2G had a lot of time in their hands here to really clear out that map. So they work in the buddy system to rush back together, but it really came down to a lot of heroic plays that had to be done on the attack side to make it actually this close for it to become a 1 versus 2. Because of that questionable TP, the reason why I said, is it a selfless play for him to get picked off here by Spike so that the other could actually rotate over and pinch from the mid take, right? From middle over to Ivy to pinch back and play that 3 versus 1 within the one holding towards Ivy. But Luis at that spot on the defensive side has been on point so far. Yes, he's only 7 kills on the board, but he survives so many rounds at 1 HP, 5 HP, and getting multi-kills in these impact rounds.
AK already threw a knife over on the A side. And then there's a drone in response from 2G. No one home on the right side of the map. 2G gotta worry because AK came bulldozing into B last time. Paranoia timing big. Smoke from 2G trying to fight AK on the push. But Dante has made his way in. And 2G, they start to panic and almost want to give up the site to just have a number advantage. You lose Spike in the process. Spike is being planted. 2 different things in that case, but AK will hold it down in a 4 versus 3 for 2G. Try to take the high ground with a shock bolt. Try to pressure them back. AK trying to stay as hidden to play time. And it's 2G that have shock bolts. They have silence with the ult. There's only one place AK can be, and it's silence that's gonna check it out. He gets overwhelmed. 2G gotta push numbers. AK are right on the edge, literally, and it's Adverso that holds it down for AK.
And a redemption there from the IGL of Adverso after whiffing that 1 versus 2. He's able to capitalize on multi-kills in this round to tie up the game 6-6. That looks so good, once again, for All Knights when we started off this game. But 2G really found some gaps here that they could exploit on the defensive side to keep this game close. Although when you want to focus on that last round, they've been doing a great job from All Knights on how they executed from the shadows from the Omen to get behind the enemy lines through all that utility that's being thrown in the forefront. Not many times do we see good value coming out from the shadows, from that Omen ult, with exception, for example, is Seaside split on Haven. So I'm liking this look from All Knights, at least on how they were hitting their attack side with this Omen ult on their attack. But now we switch sides. We'll have to see if 2G, with how Spike's been playing quite well on his Jet on the defensive side, if he could be that tip of the spear here for this team of 2G on their attack. Their map pick as well against All Knights.
It's so funny because this is so deja vu from the last time they faced on Abyss. It was a 6-6 half when AK started on offense. Like 2G are just these comeback kings because the same way they kind of came back against M80, they know how to adapt to counter strat and to really take mistakes on the chin, to know that an issue is always solvable. And they go in with such confidence and they know how to come back. And that's what really threw AK for a loop, despite that huge momentum swing that AK started with, like a 4-1 start. And then 2G just figured them out.
Yeah, and it was actually even All Knights that forced out the timeout here once 2G started figuring out this defensive side. So that main control that we thought was going to be All Knights at the very beginning here just really became a nice little chess battle on how the IGLs have been playing against each other. And I think we were mentioning here, or you were mentioning it to me in the green room before we started this matchup here at Lemon Kiwi, that these are also scrim partners, or they kind of have like a similar feel of how each other play, which is why we're seeing such a close battle so far and close matches throughout the group stages too between these two teams. And it's respectable because for me, it kind of looks like pretty much Adverso versus Maurice when they were playing against Zeta. 2 IGLs that kind of know each other a bit, they know their play style, and now it really comes down to who could actually call better than the other at this point when you understand all of these positions. You have to be pristine right now in your calls.
Oh, pistol round. It's AK won it last time. Just off of kind of a surprising, just setting the tone to the match, just full aggression, but now it's a split for 2G to try and pincer and smoke at the back, giving freeway for 2G to take this high ground to overlook the site. And you're seeing Tin Shop still remain. Adverso with a headshot on the spike. The spike goes down in the bike for 2G, while Pinshoff disengaged to have a retake, and a long flank is coming through the bottom of the map from Sabondo, and that's an important exchange as he's gonna have against Zap, depending on if he wants to even go through the trip.
Oh, you have to at this point. He realizes that he's so far behind everybody else. Just waiting for that ruckus to happen inside that site. Here comes the start.
All the time he's taking care of the trip. Now the pressure through the bottom of the map. 2G take care of the flank. Now they look forward, and it's AK on the retake, but behind them is Silence, and he just lines up the ducks. And it's easy like that. 2G with pistol.
Crazy that it's not Pricey that was lurking around for the backstab, but it's actually the duelist being Silenced coming in from behind enemy lines. And the initial hit from All Knights was actually quite decent. I like that we went for the cage and a triple break into Snake or the Z-shaped hallway, however you like to call it, but at least the connector between middle and the A site. The thing is after they droned from the main and realized that Heaven was cleared, there was a perfect smoke towards the top of Heaven so you could take control of that spot. But the second smoke didn't come out towards that spawn. So when we tried to flood down for 2G and try to jump out, they kind of got overwhelmed a little bit by All Knights, but thankfully, Silence was there to save the round and put himself into a Vandal situation with 5 players looking to hit a weak side A site.
Oh, the knife thrown, the drone committed. 2G want A bad, and Dante wasn't sure whether to fully disengage or not. Now that he's been revealed, he's gonna get smoked off. Full site control for 2G, but AK not gonna give it up too much. Dante immediately dashes in, kind of smoked off from his team. Maybe not ready for the re-engage yet. Maybe AK got antsy to try and prevent the plan, and losing 2 members disjointed from the rest. AK will have another swing at this, but with 2 men down, 2G will cover their corners and play towards the long side of A, or A main. Doing noise on the high ground, spraying through it. Damage has been done. 2G with time on their side. Pretty much have this round secured.
Yeah, they're for one end, they're just trying to die to Spike, but instead they're dying from the Sheriff of Silence, who gets 4 in the round, and he's done his job. All they wanted to do here for 2G was to just have him go on a hunt, and with the Sheriff of all things, is still able to get 2 and die to the 3rd player, which would also get him very close here to the Bladestorm. I think he's only like 1 or 2 orbs away here to be able to get that Bladestorm to keep, once again, the driver's seat for 2G within the tempo, dictating the tempo of this matchup. Because if it's not for an op that might fail in their favor, they'll have the Bladestorm, they'll still have the dash available with the Vandals that Spike could also do for the team. This is going to be a difficult task now for All Knights on their defensive side.
Now AK. KO knife on the right side, not used yet.
Get out of my way!
Just the one way, knowing no one really is in on the A side. 2G taking advantage of this moment, really pressing Kinshov, and he tries to fight and defend himself, and Dante will at least get the trade, but you don't want AK to be too antsy. Dante's gonna be on the site, ready to scrap, and above him is Adverso and the rest of AK here to support 2G. Bladestorm playing on the edge of the map, keeping eyes on the high ground. It's Dante approaching. It's the pinch from AK to deny the ult from the Silence superstar. Spike being tapped. Zap's attention is being called. He's smoked off, doesn't even see the objective, but will punish Dante for over-aggressing. And Zap is somehow keeping this round alive for 2G. And AK wanted kills, but it was the Spike that maybe they should have pressured. I can't believe 2G still won that round.
You wanted your IGLs to step up right now for both of these teams. Adverso earlier on in that round number 12, but this time it was all Zap. Still managing to jump through the gap of that smoke that came down towards that ramp to still get dinks on the buddy system that was set up for the KO to defuse. Everything was good there for All Knights to get the defuse, but Zap was literally hitting every single one of these shots to allow also Prizey to get the late lurk back towards middle and win that 1v1 against Nico Machine. If it wasn't for Zap, that was a guaranteed round for All Knights, and that's a beautiful bonus round that's won by 2G.
Yeah, AK just advancing one by one. That's something that has hurt them in their previous match. Why yesterday was one of the most exciting matches to watch if you're a fan of All Knights when they went up against Galoris. It was just a bloodbath. Sometimes you just turn your brain off, you can just run at people and just depend on your mechanics, because AK are just that mechanical team that thrive in that chaos. But this time Zap stayed stoic, and it's a streak build by 2G as a result, and they're rewarded all this money, all these weapons. AK forced to save and forced to just gamble stack towards B. Rely on trips, rely on the camera from Tinchoff to tell them when to react.
It's a good start, though. The stack is correct. They have 4 players at the right spot. They got kill trips in that site. They played outside the site, too, for the Cypher. So now if they try to run in, you could get some wall bangs here on the defensive side for All Knights.
And a beautiful knife from Nico to really suppress the entire 2G team trying to rush in. And it's quite scrappy. And AK did good damage, taking out 2. Silence with 4 in that round to build up those ult orbs. Great round out of 2G as they go up to 10. AK did good damage, but not enough.
Yeah. There was at least one trip kill that happened there for 2G, but there was a lot of utility unloading at the very beginning when All Knights tried to counteract and be proactive here on how 2G was pushing towards that site. But 2G kind of just slowed the tempo down. As soon as those cages came up, they're like, oh, wait. Or Knife didn't actually spot the Cypher Tinchoff, and there's a possibility here that there's going to be some trip kills. So let's slow things down for a bit, wait for the cages a bit as well, and maybe use your util to figure out where the trips could be. And then you just saw Silence having free reign right after for the 4K. But again, it was a save round for All Knights, an opportunity now to fight back as they've activated an AWP in the hands of Dante, who was trying to watch towards the B side first. Grabbing this ult orb, and they'll call it out here for All Knights. They know it's at least a Cypher to start things off with the Hunter's Fury on that side. But maybe, look at this pivot. There's still 3 players moving towards the B site. They may think that they're playing a similar playstyle as how All Knights were doing on the attack of grabbing the orb, rotating back towards B. So they're still pinging those rotations. They're still pinging those spots. And that's where you see Zap. He's about to go with the Owl Drone to fake that spot and pull out the rotate.
2G with a pretty serious lead after the last time they were on Abyss. They only ever won 1 offensive round. This really shows the work and the time that they put to prep their offense to improve it since the last time they faced All Knights. Now a few more rounds away from actually winning their map pick and slowing the game down to a halt. But look at Prydzi. He could have the backstab here, but he gets kind of pushed back by a Paranoia, and he does damage to Nico, who slips through the shadows. 2G fight for site control, and it's still Sabando left on there with Nico pretty injured, but 2G have the spike planted with util on their side, but now there's an op involved. Hunter's Fury available for Zap, but with his teammates in the way, it's not the right time. So 2G will just have to play Ring Around the Rosie. Dante swings, spikes is quicker, and he makes his way to the back for 3.
That is so nice for 2G towards the end. It almost looked like you're questioning the play here from 2G because the Owl Drone was perfect. It did pull out the rotate. There was only one player holding towards the A side. And you're like, wait, how come people are not really moving forward yet? But they were kind of blocked out by the one-way smoke that was being thrown out here by Sabando that didn't allow for them to really tempo up towards the A side. But at least maintaining and containing that area and pulling out the rotates on that B side allowed Tinchoff to really get a position towards Norway. So they went into a second phase instead of tempoing up towards the site to go for a fast execute with the Paranoia that allowed Tinchoff to get into the A heaven and get that pick and open up the site and allow here 2G to really get inside the A site and play within. And you've mentioned it. They had the Hunter's Fury available for Zap. He didn't want to use it yet. He was going to be the last line of offense. Basically, if everybody else couldn't hold their position on the defensive side. But man, is Spike shooting so far, so they don't need that Hunter's Fury, and they could save it in their back pocket into potentially the closing rounds of this first map.
Just that kind of stalemate, that chess match on the site where eventually the scales tipped over once Spike was let loose. Really close game. All Knights will call for a tactical pause and look towards Zonic, was yapping away, and he means business. And All Knights won this last time by just having this incredible defense that only let 1 round slip. And now this is a whole new 2G. The stakes are very different from the group stage. It's all on the line. See how this goes.
Try to make some sort of play at least. Maybe a late recon there. Oh, maybe not. Maybe it's just going to be Dante walking up alone to just meet Prydzi and put a dagger between the eyes. And that gives a chance now for AK to maybe turn it around here on a lower buy. Will we see a similar matchup right now for All Knights defensive side, just like 2G before, on a round where they had a lower buy, on a round where they were able to fight towards middle and get this information and fight back against their opponents? And All Knights now, they'll play those numbers.
Yeah, to not even let Prydzi get set up at all, where they're usually throwing a camera or a cage, and a lot of util now denied. It's 2G. Have some trips, but it's Dante yet with another headshot with the ult. He does get traded. You still have 1 duelist left. The Silence tries to dash in through the smoke, makes the space, and it's just a war. Everyone's shooting through the smoke. 2G have blocked off those exits. There's one that's open. Great reads out of 2G to cover those bases. And now the Hunter's Fury to deny the plant. A lot of time still left with 30 seconds
left.
Hunter's Fury not getting any information, though it was for denial. Here's this backstab from Sabando. Another comeback. And it's just a 1v2 for Zap. And it's just great coordination, team play, and a thrifty for AK.
And it is going to start that way. The blade sword coming out from Dante, a second one into the A site, and it still looked like it was going to be a 2G win going into this A site because it did the hard clear into the Omen, or not the Omen, sorry, but at least the player at the entrance of that A site. They cleared it out perfectly, they got it within, but now you saw the Hunter's Fury come out on the defensive side. The KO Knife 2 pinged the player, pinged the Omen. It didn't give a chance here for the smoke to come out back towards the spawn site for 2G from Luis, which then all of that was all to run that clock down so that Sabando could come in for that flank with that Sheriff. Very, very nicely done here for All Knights, not having to expend their null command on top of that in their thrifty. But you still, as we talk about ultimates, it is so healthy for 2G so far, as this is such a dangerous spot now for Sabando, but it may pay dividends.
And All Knights just one of the most resilient teams, going into a 3-9 half against Galores to turn it all around and win it in overtime in the end. All Knights do not care about a deficit. If anything, it pressures them to play better, to play smarter.
Uh-oh.
And we'll see if Sabando get the backstab. Will he get traded out? This is going to be a high-impact play for Sabando. That was terrifying. And then he'll just play off of his contact. Nico ready to trade, worst case scenario. Now null command. And Luis is going to use from the shadows to take advantage of the space. Sabando gets 2 for his troubles. And Nico pitches for the other half. And Luis are left with nothing from the shadows. He's in the site. And wow, what a defense from All Knights on B.
It definitely became a high risk, high reward there for the position that you had from Sabano. And all that thanks to the baits coming out from Nico Machine. The knife to cancel out the owl drone. And the reason why I said uh-oh is because the knife really only spotted the owl drone trying to clear out towards B main from the start, which then means you should be able to swing out from that double box and win that surprise attack against the Silva. But he stayed put in that corner for Sabando. It was still a call here coming out from 2G to deathball into this B site behind an ult command. And the high risk again, Sabando was able to find that timing, catch 4 players really off guard, get 2 of them, and allow here Nico Machine to swing back out to get those last 2 kills, as 2 players were really swung out in the open and caught out in the open. And 2G now are like, okay, well, they're starting to come back in this game. And we know what All Knights could do in these matchups when they're in a very, very far deficit against their opponents. They could always fight back with great tenacity. It doesn't matter if their opponents are winning by 2, by 6, or by 11. They will take it round by round, and you see how calm they stay within these rounds, despite facing a map loss or a series loss. This is so good what we're seeing from All Knights, and quite worthy as to why they're at Ascension in this tournament so far.
I don't think AK can pull off a quirky strat like that again, putting Sabando in just this one and done position. We'll see how the next round goes. 2G calling that pause to collect themselves, to not kind of these rounds get away from them. 2 more for 2G. Now it's an early knife just to see, is anyone close from AK? Now they have to check. AK or 2G have to check every corner to make sure they're not getting multi-killed by someone. There's all these trips right at the front door of A, and with the drone being shot, Hunter's Fury, just to get even more information, and they got a ping on Tinshoff, kind of dancing away. And you had Sabando, who almost peeked before putting the smoke down. I wonder how much he saw or did not see. 2G will shift.
Yeah, he really wanted to stay inside that smoke in case there was going to be a temple behind to Hunter's Fury. So it's going to be a mini gulag in this Omen smoke as Zap is trying to clear out trips. Meanwhile, though, they were a little bit more aggressive for All Knights, pulling a smoke at the very beginning on the top middle to really try to expend 2G's utility in the very beginning of the rounds, which would give them less for the hit. And so far, we've seen the Owl Drone, the Hunter's Fury. There's still a recon dart. and some flashes and paranoia for an A side hit. This is still not over yet for the two players anchoring inside A.
Oh, Sabando keeps regenerating these smokes, and it's gonna play inside the fire. It gets nothing for each troubles. 2G open up the site. They lose silence, but they could still play this step by step, front to back, the same way they did before with Spike to win the round. And speaking of Spike, that's down 2. Nico's in a 1v4. If he doesn't pull this off, this will put 2G on map point, on their map pick. He's on the other side of the smoke. Now full vision on the high ground. So many little corners. Now knows that they have to be playing from A main. Already heard one. Can take advantage of 2G staggering in. They got what, like almost a high low. They're all looking. The firing squad is on the other side of this corner. Nico plays off of his flash and now just dances and had an isolated duel but couldn't pull it off. It's 2G up to 12.
I respect that. Map point right now that you have here for 2G, but on the side here of All Knights, they still have good economy. And you paid attention what they had in terms of ult economy. Still quite far away before they have some smothering ults here, some high ults that could really help on the attack side hits. So he tries to go to fight in and isolate these fights to keep the economy low against his opponents, so that 2G will be forced to buy pretty much towards every single round where you get to a moment where the economy gets broken. You really have a chance here to win the map. But now the only chances now that All Knights has is to really try to tie up the game and bring it to overtime. But you know that they could do this. Look at this tempo change. A TP towards the front. They want to fight back against the early map control that they're giving away quite often in this second half here for All Knights. So they're trying to cut rotates out or trying to make sure that they can flank as fast as possible.
And All Knights don't play by the book. They play by their book, going for kind of these high-risk, high-reward plays, even setting up Sabando in the cages, in his smokes, playing up close at the doorway of A last round. Just didn't work out for them that time. This time, Sabando will lurk around mid. And 2G.
Oh, what a read. The knife the Aldrone gets broken right away here as Adverso swung out and they're like, yo, there's got to be somebody hiding in that corner. Shark Dart takes him down, he's got a TP away, and that's a tell. So that's the mid position gone, and that's map control back in favor of 2G.
It's like the Where's Waldo, but it's Where's Sabando, and he forced them to teleport out. 2G having to be so hyper vigilant wherever they approach on this map. A lot of hiding spots.
30 seconds left.
They cross over now towards B. They will be smoked off. They'll head their way in, and it's Silence that can lead that charge. And with pings on the other side, you're shooting through boxes. You're swinging as a team, and it's 2G that got caught by Sabando. Now with 12 seconds left.
10 seconds left.
Even numbers. A Zap holds the sight line against 2. Turns, hoping to challenge this op. As Dante creeps through his own smoke.
Enemy remaining.
Now off the neural theft from Tinchoff, Dante takes his time, slows it down. Doesn't have to use the op. Spike is tapped. Zap knows someone is close. He's been such an anchor for them, holding his position before, but it's All Knights that will not give up.
Going in on a 2 versus 1 and then still tap the spike so they double up to look down towards danger again. I just wanted to pinpoint how good these guys are in terms of these high pressure moments, not trying to be like, oh my god, I gotta stick to spike, cover my body, cover my body. They just wanted to make sure, understanding the time left under their belt here that they could work with. Just trying to force the hand of their opponents. And you saw there just Zap trying to go for the recon, already gives his position away because of how short that dart came through. And I love here the call from 2G of how they tempoed up towards this B site, at least to start, because of the fake knife that they threw towards the A side. It got shot right away. So if it gets shot right away, you know there's players playing forward into the A side. So the rotate back over to the B side was going to be much longer. Although it still turned out good in the end for All Knights to be able to save that round and stay alive in this game.
2G, the win is still within reach. Bladestorm being spotted there by the defense of AK. Silence going below, above, the head, the head above water. Silences his opponent, but goes for too much. AK
planted.
Will shut him up for good permanently, but AK will have to play at a disadvantage in terms of numbers. Sabando will even it up through a ping through the smoke. As 2G got the plant. Now they can play from main. They got the crossfire. And AK have shock bolt. Versa, one of the smartest Sovas that we have in Ascension. It's gonna hope to flush them out. With 2 flashes, Nico throws 1. There's a teleport, and that gets used as bait. Reaction not immediate from AK as 2G bite back in the biggest of ways. It's all Adverso to keep the defense in a winnable position. With a 1v3, the damage is done, but it's 2G with the last laugh and the Abyss map win.
Oh my god, you were talking about high risk, high rewards, and they did try to do that there for All Knights, trying to TP off a pop flash that unfortunately did not blind the players on the left. And when they're both unfazed by the flash, it was an easy pick and an easy win towards the end for 2G, but not before those injuries that came out there from Silence. That was actually quite impressive on how he entered towards that side, catching one off guard, right-clicking against Dante, and really putting up the task, this duelist versus duelist Dante, Elise versus Silence for now, but going into the later maps, that responsibility might change over to Spike, so there's a lot of players that have to play against Dante, but at least 2G has the firing power and has a team to deal with against All Knights.
What a response from 2G to lose this map 13-7 against All Knights in the group stage, to turn it all around. There's so much learning to be done from that bracket to now. The stakes could not be higher, and 2G improved their offense tremendously. And, you know, you saw the handshakes. Everyone's friends at the end of the day, but only one team will remain on the upper side of the bracket after this next map. We go to Lotus next, but we'll hear from the desk. See you after the break.